let me know. Hopefully you can see my screen okay. I'm just trying to hop over between Zoom and Facebook. But yes, super excited. This is like one of the things I love talking about. And you know what? I've been there, done that. So it's not coming from any kind of judgment or anything like that. It's totally based on, you know, what I've personally experienced as well. So, yep, cool, it's working. Wendy said, so cool, let's get started. Why dieting makes you sick. All right, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Melissa Wilkes. Got a few nicknames. I'll just talk about the pleasant ones. Food Ninja. And I started my nutrition and mindset coaching business 7 years ago. And one of my, I guess, philosophies or ways of coaching is working on improving your mind, working on improving your health and improving your life. And I find that when I bring in nutrition and mindset together, what we really get is some really good long-term changes. Instead of it just being in one particular area, we're working in both areas. So we're able to change the way we think and actually create some action with our knowledge around nutrition. A little bit about me. I'm married to my husband since I met him when I was in high school, right? Crazy. And we've got 3 beautiful kids together. Very passionate about food. We're all foodies in our house. And obviously, like I've already said, in nutrition coaching. So I do lots of events as well, but my passion really is in nutrition coaching. I love helping and supporting women. There is something that the magic that happens when you see women who make changes in their health, it's just so amazing. And I'm very grateful that I get to do this as a job and as a career and as my passion in life, and to share my knowledge. So let's get into tonight's topic, which is why dieting makes you sick. And I would love to start off by knowing a little bit about you. What is your experience with dieting? Have you had your own experiences with dieting? What has happened for you in the past? And do you actually remember when you first started dieting? Because that's always interesting as well. Because for me, I was very young when I started dieting. I was 14 the first time I started learning about diets, and it wasn't because I went looking. I was actually with a group of friends, and we had got off the school bus and had gone to what I thought was we were going to the shops and we were going to do some fun things. And it was the first time I was sort of doing it, and they walked into Woolworths, and it was straight down the health food aisle and started showing me these diet pills that they'd been taking. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'd never thought about my weight. It wasn't something that had occurred to me. I'd had a few little, name calling, like football legs, and I was very athletic, but nothing that would, I guess, make me think there was anything to be concerned about or worried about. When it comes to what I was eating, and I didn't know really anything about dieting. So it's always interesting to hear what your experience is with dieting, because then we can get a really good understanding of what it is that you're actually been experiencing yourself, and what your mindset is around dieting, where it all comes from, and what your journey, I guess, has been. So, feel free to share, pop in the comments. What is your experience with dieting? And I'd love to also know, are you dieting now? So some people are dieting now. That's totally fine. There's no right or wrong. I'm obviously going to be talking about more of the reasons why it's not a great idea, but you may still wish to do it. And guess what? The best thing about life is it's up to you. It's your body. You can choose to do whatever you like. What you put in your mouth is totally up to you. It's not up to anybody else. All I can do is share, what I know, and from many years of my qualifications, my skills, my experience, I think is the biggest thing for me. And from working with women like you who have been a a dieter before and have found that you've had complications from it. So are you dieting now, and why? Like, what is your reason for dieting? What is it that is making, the choice that you have for dieting? Hey, Chantel, isn't it your birthday today? Are you hopping on here on your birthday? Oh my gosh, if you are, thank you. How lovely. I'll keep going, but yes, please share. Are you dieting now, and why? Like, what is your reasons for dieting? Is there a particular reason that you feel that you need to diet or watch what you're eating? Maybe there is more to it. Would love to hear. I'm just going to keep going, and then I'll just keep checking for comments, because I would love to hear a little bit more about you and your experiences. Have you lost weight dieting? So maybe you have tried dieting in the past and you've actually lost weight, and you've tried something and you found something that worked for you. I know that I did a lot of diets when I was younger. Some worked and some didn't. So it's always interesting to hear whether people actually have done diets and actually had success, like results-based experiences. So have you lost the weight? There's interesting when you've it's interesting when you've had that you've gone on that diet but not necessarily got those results that you were after. So that's interesting as well, just to hear whether people are actually losing weight. Yeah, but if you don't want to share, you don't have to. Totally get it. So what I see a lot of, dieting starts to take over our lives. It gets to the point where it's all consuming, right? It's something that we are on the diet, we are off the diet, we are back on the diet. The diet worked, the diet doesn't work. And it's a back and forth, kind of like yo-yo, right? You're yo-yoing between a diet and then just going a bit nuts without a diet. And what you can find is it can be a pattern that you've had for a long period of time, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. Excuse me. So Wendy, worked very well, lost about 10 kilos many years ago, need to go again. Okay, so that's always interesting as well, because when we diet, our results are always different based on our age as well. So yeah, interesting to hear. Thank you so much for sharing, and please pop in the comments if dieting has taken over your life, or if you've had any kind of experiences where it felt all consuming. And then it's addressing, has dieting caused other issues for you? Have you noticed that dieting's actually caused some stress eating, distraction eating, mindless eating, restrictive eating? I'm sure it has, too much probably, or binge eating, which is what I hear a lot from women that decide to work with me, based on the fact that they are binge eating because they have that yo-yo dieting, or that yo-yo way of eating, like I'm eating lots, I'm not eating anything, I'm restricting, I'm going all out, I'm feeling really out of control with my eating. And so that's what can happen. We can have all these other issues that we aren't even really clear or aware of how much it's actually impacting us, and we don't realize that we've created all these other types of issues to go with the dieting. So we think we're doing the best for ourselves by trying to lose weight, but what we've actually created is more issues than we thought, than we thought or realized that we were creating. So what happens is we start to realize that we have affected our relationship with food. Or maybe we haven't. Maybe this is the first time you're sort of going, oh, yeah, okay. I've never really thought about the fact that when I diet, it actually creates more problems for me, because then I start to go into that yo-yo. I start to go into that back and forth and find myself restricting or binging or overeating or feeling out of control. So it's always good to just sit down and take a moment to really look at your relationship with food. How is your relationship with food? How do you feel about food in general? I mean, that's going to give you a pretty clear indication of how food feels for you. You know, do you feel anxious when you eat, or do you feel that your thoughts of food are all consuming? And I do hear that. I have worked with women who find that it does take over their thoughts 24/7, constantly thinking about food. And that is not necessarily in your best interest, right? To be all consuming. So having an awareness of what is your relationship with food, and is it a good relationship? Is it not so good? Does it stem back to something that you experienced when you were younger? You know, what was your relationship with food? I know that the fact that we were told we had to eat everything on our plate as kids pretty much meant that our relationship with food was quite distorted, because, you know, we were taught to not waste food. If you don't eat everything on your plate, you know, you weren't allowed to leave the dinner table. And how could you even think about not eating everything on your plate, because there was kids starving in Africa? So that was something that I grew up with. And so my relationship with food from quite a young age was distorted, in that I thought I had to eat everything on my plate, and that, you know, there are people that are starving, or that it was wastage. And that's a common thing that I hear from clients, and it can create a lot of a distorted way of thinking about food, right? We get really, really confused about it because we're not so aware of how far this relationship with food goes back. And then there's the quick fix society that we're in, right? We're really in a quick fix society. We're in a society where we want things instantly. We want to see changes quickly. And then they're promised to us. They're promised to us in this quick fix society of diets and shakes and all the clever marketing that gets sent to us, where they tell us we can fix your solution really, really quickly. You know, all you have to do is this, and all you have to follow is this, and all you have to take is this, or all you have to drink is this. And when that doesn't work, we think that there's something wrong with us, right? Because the way that the quick fix solution is targeted to us is that you know, this is what you need. This is what is going to make you be able to lose your weight, or be able to feel better, or be able to reach your health goals. We don't realize that it's not actually designed that way. It's very clever marketing, right? It's very clever way of targeting us in a certain way. And remember that the diet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So that's something to think about, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so people are making money from us going on diets. So what is a diet? If you have a look up at the definition, it's descriptive of food that naturally or through processing has a low caloric content or calorie content. The Collins Dictionary says it's a type of food intended to help people become slim. That's what the Collins Dictionary says. And they say that, you know, it's, like I said, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry for a reason, right? Because it's targeted, diets are targeted for slim. Diet is targeted for, you know, looking a certain way. The other definition is people with special dietary needs, like that need to modify, or it eliminating certain foods out of their diet. So really understanding that the word diet, even in the dictionary, is talking about slimming and losing weight. And so diet in itself, the word, is not necessarily connected to what is best for us, or can kind of lead us down the wrong path, not exactly what we're wanting to be looking at. So what happens? It leaves us confused, overwhelmed, because there's so many diets. There is the paleo diet, the keto diet. There's now the keto 2.0 diet, Mediterranean diet, vegan diet, clean eating, cabbage diet, celery. That's not to mention all the ones that were around when I was a kid, right? Well, not a kid, but a young adult, I should say, like the Atkins diet and the Cohen's diet. I definitely remember the celery juice diet because it went straight through me, and I definitely lost weight because I was only eating and drinking celery juice. And the other one, the cabbage diet, oh my God, that was just terrible for my insides. So we can get really caught up in turning into a dietaholic. And one of my clients I had a few years ago, her name's Sarah, she actually came to one of my in-person sessions and was listening to me talk, and she was like, oh my gosh, if you knew all the diets I've been on. And she was a huge calorie counter, and she used to weigh her food, and it got to the point where she was super stressed out. Like, it was really making life hard for her because she was constantly on diets, and her body and her weight would go up and down and up and down. And it just made her feel broken. It made her feel worthless. It made her feel like there was something wrong with her. So what we did was we worked towards food freedom. And that's with the coaching work that I do, is to just know what foods you can eat, know what particular foods suit your body, and how to eat the right foods and enjoy foods, and just have such an amazing relationship with food. Because being stuck in the dieting, being stuck as a dietaholic, which is what I called her, I nicknamed her dietaholic, we're just creating so many problems. And I'm going to go through those with you tonight. What exactly happens when we do create all these different diets, and what shows up in our body. So what we do end up with is food confusion. Like, we get anxiety around what we're putting in a mouth. And remember, you're eating 3 times a day minimum. Most people, some people less, most people more, right? Because if you snack and that. So if you think about it, you've got all day where you're consuming foods and getting really confused. And I don't know if you can relate to this little girl jumping on the scales, having that reaction, oh my God, what's going on? And it gets confusing, right? Because we're following all these gurus and people that are saying do this and do that, and my diet will work, and this diet will work, and you can lose 10 kilos in 4 weeks, and you just have to do this and you have to do that. And what it does is just creates so much anxiety, and we get really confused. So can you relate? Are you starting to find that you're getting anxiety around food and your choices? And then what can happen is you start to react to negative situations in your life through food. Maybe you're finding that you're, like this woman here from, I can't remember the show, but I always call it like the Bridget Jones's reaction, if you've seen the Bridget Jones's movie. And that's where, like, we're grabbing the ice cream and we're shoveling it in our mouths because we're feeling some really full-on emotions, and we're trying to find a way to feel better. And we're using food to do that. We're using food when we're reacting to negative situations. And you may find that you're actually experiencing shame and guilt when eating. So you might go, you know what, I feel like having some chocolate right now. And you eat a couple of pieces of chocolate, and then you're overwhelmed with those feelings of shame and guilt, and they just really take over. And so and this is what is happening with a lot of women, that we've got so many emotions that are happening. We're getting a real big emotional overload throughout the day, and then can find ourselves having an unhealthy relationship with food because we're trying to deal with all the emotions that are coming up. So maybe you're experiencing that more of a struggling, not knowing what to eat because you've got yourself into that diet mindset and now you don't know, okay, what the hell do I eat? Like, I want to eat this, but I feel like I can't. And should I have that or should I have this? And so you're really living with restrictions with food because you don't have a clear understanding about how to do it. Maybe you have no idea about how nutrition works. You don't know how to feed your body the right foods. What happens in most cases is we feel really stuck and we get caught in a habit loop. And this is what I teach my clients and teach them how to really see. Clients that do coaching with me, we work out what their habit loops are and we work on breaking those patterns and changing those. And so that's really knowing why that's happened, what your old behavior is and what new behavior we can create. And it's so amazing to see women when they have had all the aha moments, had all the realizations of, what's happening within the body and, what reactions that we're having and how we are managing life. And it's actually not working for us. It's not bringing out the best in us and it's actually making things worse. And the good old good and bad food, right? Because dieting emphasizes food is good or bad, and reward or punishment. And it actually creates more of a problem because when you take something and make it out of reach, what does everybody want? They want it. So if I sit here and talk to you about chocolate, 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 how good is chocolate? Can you envision the chocolate? Imagine the chocolate. Guess what? You can't have chocolate for the rest of the year. How does that feel? Right? It feels restrictive. And if I say to you, can't have it because it's bad, chocolate is really, really bad for you. You shouldn't be eating any chocolate. It's going to make you very, very sick. If you start to think that way, it's creating turmoil and anxiety. It's creating unease and it can create so much stress within us, right? And yes, so it's not teaching us healthy eating habits and it rarely focuses on what is actually nutritional value for us. How is it teaching us? How is dieting teaching us what that food is doing for us? So, for instance, if you are feeling really tired and like you're struggling on a day-to-day basis, every afternoon, you're going to have an energy slump and you're eating chocolate. And then the next thing you know, you're addicted to chocolate. And then after that, you start to put on weight or feel that you can feel the effects of the sugar and you can see how you've got yourself a bit of a health issue happening with the sugar. So you put yourself on a diet and you say no sugar, but then that diet consumes you thinking about sugar nonstop, right? Because you haven't done it the right way. You haven't removed that food in a way that is healthy for the mind and healthier for the body. It's felt like a diet, so it's felt very restrictive, and you've made that particular sugar food really bad in the mind instead of actually creating a way of changing the way you're thinking so that you're actually choosing the foods that you want rather than saying, I can't have this. Instead of saying, I can't have this, you're going, you know what? I actually want this. I'm craving this. I need this. Instead of this is a bad food and I can't eat it. When we really understand more about the foods that are going to nourish us and we understand more about the foods that are going to give us energy and make us think clearer, we're more likely to choose those foods when we have that better understanding. So women that come and start working with me and they're explaining to me their afternoon slump and their chocolate binging and it doesn't have to be binge, but the addiction to chocolate and that energy slump. When I start showing clients, look, you know what, this is what you can be doing instead. This is how you can feel comfort from food. This is how you can get energy from food. This is how you can clear your brain, like have more focus by eating different foods that's still creating the same sensations in the body as chocolate would, but without the aftermath, without all the issues that can create for you. So in my opinion, dieting is restricting some of the really key things that food can create for us. Food should be fun and enjoyment. Like, it doesn't have to be something that we feel restricted with. It doesn't have to be something that we can't get excited about. And again, I tell my clients, you should be getting excited about your meals. Like, if you're eating some bit of rice, bit of broccoli, a bit of plain chicken, you're not going to get excited about your food. So you might stick to that diet for a certain amount of time. And hey, you probably get some great results from it a bit faster than you would if you had a bit of seasoning on there and some other bit of fun stuff in there. But are you enjoying it? Or are you forcing yourself to eat foods that are not actually what you want to be eating because they don't really have any flavor and they're not exciting? And when it comes to going and socializing, you can't actually socialize with anybody because you can't eat anything on the list, or it's plain. And so you're sitting there and everyone's ordering these fantastic meals and you feel like you're missing out. Or you could be like me and you show love. One of your love languages is through food. That's why I swear I do my retreat so I can feed everybody. I think I just run my retreat so I can sit back and watch everybody eat some beautiful, nutritious food. Like, I get so much reward out of that. I love feeding my family. I don't like cooking every day, but when I do cook, I love it. And I love watching my family eat those foods. The other thing is I love to feel satisfied when I've finished eating. I don't want to feel like I haven't eaten. I don't want to feel like I missed out. I'll never forget that sensation I had when we went over to Bali when I think I'm trying to remember what it was. It was about 9 years ago. And we went to Bali and I was still trying to figure, it was my first holiday gluten-free, I'm pretty sure, overseas. And so it got so complicated that they were literally just cooking the vegetables and the protein on their like grills on the plainest bit they could find. And that was all I could eat. And it was so boring. And it was not a good holiday for me. I felt like I was missing out so much. And I wasn't on a diet. I just couldn't eat gluten. So they would get confused. You can go anywhere, I think now these days, anywhere around the world, and they understand about all these things, thank goodness. And also I have a better understanding of how to communicate what I need to eat. But for me, I'll never forget what it felt like to have bland, plain food, and everyone was having all these exciting meals. And I was like, oh, I'm missing out. This really, really sucks. And I just felt like, oh, it just felt horrible. And I don't want to feel that. And I don't think that's what life's about. I think we can have fun with food and we can enjoy it without going crazy, without taking it to the next level extreme. But also without being restrictive as well. So what are the reasons why I feel like you need to think a bit more or consider a bit deeply why dieting might not be for you and could, not saying it will, but more I'm saying it could make you sick? Because we're all different, right? We're all different ages. We're all in different areas. We're all eating different foods. And what one person says is dieting is totally different to another. When I say I'm dieting, that for me, I was in my 20s when I was dieting. It was very restrictive. So for me, that's what dieting is. But for you, it might be that you could say that you're going on a sugar-free diet and it's just taking out sugar. So really understand what is your particular diet you're looking at addressing. Why do you want to diet? And then let's just deep dive a little bit more into why dieting can make you sick. And you're welcome to pop any questions up in there as well. And if I don't have time, I'll go through it at the end. So here's a great reason. Unsatisfied hunger increases mood swings and a risk of overeating. So when we have not felt satiated, when we don't feel satisfied, our and we don't feel the right feelings of receiving the right amount of food, we can create a reaction in the brain and in the body and in our hormones as well. And so what can happen is we start getting all these signals and we feel like we're missing out, but also our brain is telling us we're missing out. This is not enough food, and it's just sending all these signals, and we're pushing against something that is natural. We're pushing against feelings and emotions that are surfacing because that's the way our brain is wired. That's the way our body is designed. It's designed to tell us when we're hungry. It's designed to tell us when we're full. And when we're not listening to what our body's telling us, when we're not understanding that, we are going to feel unsatisfied. We're going to feel unfull. And that creates reactions in the body. It creates reactions in the mind. And it does create, in some occasions, I actually think in a lot of occasions, the risk of us then overeating, because then you can go and look for a whole nother meal, right? So think about, can it cause hunger increases, mood swings, and a risk of overeating for you? Is that something that could happen to you? Is it most likely? Have you maybe already experienced this? Maybe you've already experienced this on a previous diet. Restricting food, even when you're drinking all the fluids, can still lead to dehydration and further complications like constipation. And I see this a lot because the body doesn't know when it's going to be fed again. So it can be holding on. But also you might not be eating enough of the right foods. And so you're unable to process and digest and have those foods going through your body in the right way. So we need to be thinking about whether those functions are working correctly or not, right? Dieting and chronic hunger tend to exacerbate dysfunctional behaviors like smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, or simply numbing out with Netflix or online shopping. And again, working in this industry and working with so many women for the last, thousands of women for so many years, what I see is when one vice is taken away, generally another one is put in its place. Because to succeed, we have to feel like we're winning at something, or we have to feel like we're not going without in something. And generally we will overcompensate in another area. So when you restrict in one area, you overcompensate in another. And the restriction and overcompensate can create another yo-yo of back and forth and back and forth. And again, you're confusing the body, you're confusing the mind. It doesn't understand what the hell is going on, right? So when we are in that dieting, we need to think about how much hunger we're creating. Are we creating hunger? Is the restriction creating hunger and then creating behaviors that happen from that? Dieting mentality tempts us into, if I am thin, I will be happy, or if I am not thin, I am a failure way of thinking, but only provides a short-term fictitious solution with long-term harmful physical and mental consequences. And one of the biggest things I see is a lack of nutrients in clients that start working with me. The body has been yo-yo dieting for so long that it's not receiving the right nutrients. It's not receiving the foods that it needs to. Another thing that's quite common is in women is binge eating or overeating, and then the next day starving, going all day without eating, maybe skipping breakfast and lunch, or just eating the bare minimum, right? And what happens is that creates more problems in the body because you're not feeding the mind, you're not feeding the body, you're not giving it fuel. And it will not break down the fat that you think it's going to break down. It breaks down other things. It puts pressure onto our organs. It doesn't take from our fat stores because that's not how the body works, right? And so when we are striving towards if I'm thin, I will be happy, or if I'm not thin, I am a failure. We're putting ourselves in a situation where we're making our worth based on how we look. We're making our success and failure based on how we look. And that's not healthy. That's not going to serve us long term. It's not going to serve us short term either. So we need to be thinking about the consequences of that mentality that comes with, I need to be thin, I need to be slim. And I can tell you for a fact, I know lots of women, and I've worked with lots of women that are very slim and are very sick, or they're very slim and they're very fat on the inside. You just can't see, right? So their metabolism's working in a different way, but it doesn't mean that they're healthy. It doesn't mean that they're going to live longer or live disease-free or cancer-free, because there are a lot of women that are actually really unhealthy and malnutritioned, and that's because they have that diet mentality and it's worked for them, but they're stuck in it and they haven't seen the consequences of it. And I know that's a really harsh thing to say, but it's something I'm trying to say it so that you think about that. If you're comparing yourself to others, how did they get there? And if they got there, did they get there the right way? Is it going to give them long-term results? Because I know for me, I want to have good health for a long time. I don't want to look great in my 20s and 30s and then feel like shit in my 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. And I do plan on living till 100, so you know. Diets are not made to work. Do you know that? That's why it is $1 billion industry, because you keep coming back. They get you into the diet mentality and they chuck you on that, what is it? Like the mouse on the hamster wheel, not hamster wheel, but you know what I mean? The hamster on the hamster wheel, they get you on there. You're like running and you're not going anywhere. You're not moving forward. You're not progressing. You're not having any success because it's not designed to work. It's designed to keep you into diet mentality and then to keep trying the next diet and the next diet and the next diet. And what happens when it doesn't work? We think we're broken. We think we're a failure. We're not, because they're not designed that way. I feel like it's time we all said no. Cross your arms and say no, no, no. No more dieting. It is time to say goodbye to dieting. Just quickly telling you that my own personal experience with dieting was, like I said to you at the start, 14 years old when I started, because all the girls at school were doing it. And then I remember being 21 or 20, I think, and I was going to be a bridesmaid, and I went to the doctor and I spoke to them about losing weight, and you know, they said, oh no, I'd had my second child, and yeah, I was 21, had 2 kids, and I didn't like the size, and I was going to be a bridesmaid. And he said, don't worry, I've got this medication for you, which I went on, which made me go absolutely nuts, and I had to get off it. And then I tried everything there was, and I got addicted to the cycle. By the time I was in my 30s, I was having so many health issues, some severe weight fluctuations going up and down, but the health issues were huge. And I do believe a lot of them came down to the fact that I wasn't absorbing nutrients. I wasn't receiving what my body needed. And I had such a distorted relationship with food that I would do the things like eat all day and then starve the next day, or I'm going to not have this so I can have this. And you've probably heard about that calorie swapping, where you can have this chocolate cake instead of having the apple and the handful of cashews, have this chocolate cake instead. And you go and choose the chocolate cake, not thinking about the fact that, yes, the calories might be this and it might match your daily consumption, but what is it doing on the inside? So have you considered your health issues could be related to dieting? And most women haven't thought about that. Most women haven't gone and done the deep dive to look to see whether this is a problem, whether it's causing those problems. And there's so many things that you may not be aware of, so many things like hormonal issues, foggy brain, So looking at, could your dieting be restricting nutrients? And look out for stuff. So your body might be having food sensitivities. You might be having more sugar cravings from dieting, which is because your body's not getting enough nutrients. So it's craving some food that's going to give it energy, but you're picking it up as sugar cravings. How much damage is it doing to your gut? And without the gut functioning well, we're going to notice a whole heap of inflammation in the body. We're going to notice that our whole mood, our whole behavior, our health, our immune system is all compromised because of it. And when we're dieting, we can actually create more problems with our weight, which is what we're trying to do, but create more problems. You may have noticed even from dieting that you have problems sleeping. So look out for those things, right? And why you should consider dieting and if it's worth it. I believe if you are considering dieting, think about your health issues that could be creating. Are you creating an eating disorder? Are you creating an eating disorder? Are you confusing your mind about food? Is your mind start getting to the point where it doesn't know what to eat? Is your body freaking out because it's not getting enough food in the day? Are you restricting nutrients? And have you thought about how this is going to affect you in later life? Have you thought about how this is going to create more health problems as you get older, no matter what age you are, as you get older, that it starts to create more of that problem? So complex areas of our lives like health and wellness cannot be reduced to the one isolated number of what we weigh, boom, or what our BMI is, boom. I hope you really think about this, because this is not going to make you feel better. The size of your body is not going to make you feel better. Purpose and worth cannot be measured in weight. And I know that because I've been through the process and I've experienced it. So I know exactly what it feels like. What I do with my clients is I take them through 5 steps to thrive. And I do this because majority of women are sitting in survival. We're sitting in the survive. We've forgotten how to thrive. We've forgotten how to live. We are literally ignoring everything that's going on. We're in that exhaustion, overwhelm. We're dealing with health issues, maybe some food intolerances. And what I do is I take women through these steps so we can get to thrive. We need to get really clear on what it is you're doing that you don't even realize you're doing. And I love, I get so much out of watching my clients have their aha moments, like, oh my gosh, Melissa, do you know what I do whenever I'm angry? And I go, yep. And they have that, oh, geez. And then we create all these new beautiful things that they can do to replace that negative behavior with food, negative way of thinking, a negative way of treating our body, because we are hurting ourselves, right? And to get really clear on that and see that some of the foods we're eating doesn't suit us. What suits me doesn't suit you. So there's no point in me sitting here going, you need to eat this, you need to eat that. We've got to work out what suits you perfect. What suits your body design? What is your body's design telling us? And I teach knowledge, everything you can think of about nutrition. I teach as much as I can about my knowledge, but in a simple way. Because if I make it really hard and overwhelming, guess what happens? The mind goes, oh, this is too hard. And we give up. And I don't want anyone to give up. So we don't do that. But I teach you knowledge that is just so, so powerful. And then working on healing. How can you heal your body? How can you look at working on your gut? How can you work on looking at your brain? How can we fill the body with nutrients and vitamins and minerals so that you bounce out of bed and feel amazing, which is when we get to thrive. We feel so good. We have confidence in the food that we're eating. We have confidence in what we're doing on a daily basis, and life is actually working for us. Like, you know, you feel good all the time and you're just like, wait, what? I don't have to diet and I can feel full of energy and I can have a weight that I can maintain easily. Oh my God, are you serious? Heck yes, I'm serious. Because you've been told that dieting is going to get you somewhere that it's not. It is such a powerful thing to really realize what dieting can do, right? And if we get rid of it and we start enjoying food and we start eating what suits us and we get excited about the food that's on our plate, we are really thriving. And that's what I want for everybody. And that's why I share my knowledge with you, because I get so passionate and excited for you so that you can experience this and so you can feel this. And that's what I want for you, right? Because ultimately, I think we're all looking for food freedom. We're looking for that feeling of not being controlled by food, not being controlled about our choices. Like, oh, who wants to be feeling anxiety when it comes to what you're eating? What about if you could sit and eat the things you wanted in a different way, not in an unhealthy way, but in a very healthy way? When we focus on sustainable long-term strategies for implementing regulated, normal, healthy, easy eating habits, and you have a variety of food choices without any restrictions that are not necessary, we can make up a really great diet of food. And let's take the diet word out, a comprehensive range of food, and maintain a healthy weight range, which gives us a true way of healthy living. It makes us feel the way we want to feel, the proper way we want to feel. So if you're after some food freedom and it's something you're interested in, you can grab your camera and hover it over the barcode here and book in for a free 30-minute chat. I actually have an offer that's on at the moment. So if you want to find out a bit more about my coaching or my programs, happy to have a chat and hear a bit about what's going on with you. I can make some suggestions of some things that you can change and where you can go with that. And also know that you're not alone. Like, there are so many women, and I've been through it too. You are not alone, and we can get out of this way of thinking and create so much excitement and energy and look at our future and just feel that freedom that we all deserve when it comes to food. We should all feel free with our food. We should all feel confident about our food choices. If you want the link, let me know. I'll get Abby to add the link in the comments. And if you thought this chat was really, really great, you are welcome to join me next Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday morning. It will be in a Zoom link, so it won't be in the Facebook group here. But I do have the replays. If you can't make it and you want to watch the replays, they will be up for the day to watch. And I'm going live to tell you the secrets to healthy eating. So if you're interested in that as well, please pop in the comments and let me know, and I will send you the link for that. And that is me really sharing with you secrets, as in I have only ever told my clients this. So out of 7 years, or it's longer than 7 years, but all these years of coaching, I have never told anybody but my clients what I'm sharing next week. So it's a big one. It's going to be a great event. And you get to hear and have that one-on-one with me, well, not one-on-one, one-on with a few sessions for 45 minutes, those 3 days next week. And I've never, ever offered this before. I don't know if I'll ever offer it again. If I do, it'll probably be a paid event. So I'd love to share it with you first. So you're welcome to join that. If you're interested, pop in the comments and I will send you the link. And you know what life is about? It is about thriving. It is about enjoying life. It's not about dieting. It's not about restrictions. It's not about what we can and can't have. It's just about being really, really clear on what suits our body type, what our body needs to thrive, and really going all out, really, really getting excited with that. So thank you so much for listening to me. I'm going to check if there's any comments and answer those. Would love to know more about what foods suit you. I'm happy to do a chat with you, Wendy. If you want to book in for a free 30-minute chat, I'm happy to do that with you. Iris, would you like the link for next week's 3-day event? Is that what you're after? I will pop that in, or I'll send that to you as soon as I get off. So please let me know if you are watching the replay, hashtag replay. I will get Abby to add the link for the chat with me if you would like. And if you would like to come to the event next week, just pop in there that you would like to come to the Secrets to Healthy Eating, and I will send you a message. All right. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Take care, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday night. See you later.